We were halfway through a forgettable date night at some overpriced fusion place downtown when her phone lit up with a notification that wasn't from the usual suspects. No Slack, no Outlook, no Instagram dopamine drip. Just a clean, sharp little ping from an app one didn't recognize. It flashed too fast for me to catch the whole thing, but I saw just enough. CoinMeta transfer successful, 4.3 ETH to Lumbo Daddy. Now, I don't pretend to be a saint. I work in product at a startup in Austin, so I've inhaled more than my fair share of Red Bull, late-night ramen, and industry-grade cynicism. But I've been around crypto enough to know that you don't send 4-point-something Ethereum to someone named Lumbo Daddy unless you're either buying drugs, laundering money, or sleeping with your boyfriend behind your husband's back. She looked up at me mid-sip like she hadn't just launched a small fortune into the crypto void. "What?" she said, all innocent. "You're staring." "Just thinking," I replied, "about how this dinner cost me $120 and my dignity." Her name's Madison. Of course it is. Designer sneakers, Stanley Cup, productivity guru on TikTok. She calls herself a brand accelerator, which is the professional equivalent of adding thought leader to your email signature. When we met 2 years ago at a shared WeWork, she sold herself as this magnetic force of entrepreneurial gravity. Big vision, big energy, big smile. I fell in love with the pitch deck before I realized the product was vaporware. Don't get me wrong, she's smart. She's charming. She's also the kind of person who says, "I'm just vibing with the universe right now," right before she drains your joint checking account to buy fake crystals or invest in a DAO that's run by a Twitch streamer in Finland. But even I wasn't prepared for Lumbo Daddy. That one hit different. She tucked her phone back in her purse and returned to her beet tartare like she hadn't just triggered the final phase of our marriage. I, being the adult in the room, said nothing. I didn't accuse. I didn't ask. I just smiled and filed that username away like a good little analyst. Because here's the thing. If you want the truth, don't ask for it. Build a case. Let it hang itself. We wrapped up the evening with a Lyft ride home that felt like a hostage exchange. She scrolled through her phone the entire time, occasionally letting out breathy little laughs like she was reading the private jokes of a man who definitely doesn't have a prenup with her. When we got home, she made up some excuse about needing to finish a deck for Monday's Series B warm-up call. Then she disappeared into her home office/vibe chamber with her laptop, ring light, and weird Himalayan salt lamp that makes everything smell faintly like burnt seaweed. I waited 20 minutes, just enough for her to get into that hyper-focused trance where she forgets the rest of the world exists. Then I walked down the hall like I was heading to the kitchen, slipped past the door, and peeked inside. Laptop open. Chrome tabs galore. She had 3 tabs related to CoinMeta, one of them labeled Staking Rewards, and the other Ledger Activity. Jackpot. But instead of doing anything stupid like walking in and demanding answers, rookie move, I waited until she went to bed around midnight. I could tell by the way the hallway light dimmed and the floorboards stopped creaking. Then I took her laptop. Not stole, just borrowed. I know her password. Of course I do. She used the same one for everything because she read in some newsletter that password anxiety is a mental health killer. It was all there. The whole damn story. There was a wallet tied to her email. One she clearly thought was private because it used a Proton mail address she created under the name Maddie Zen. I traced the outbound transfers. Multiple payments to this one address over the last 6 weeks, totaling roughly $30,000 in ETH. Every transaction had some stupid little memo like, "Can't wait for Miami kiss mark. Our secret island fund face-blowing a kiss. You're the real king." Seriously? I give her my Hulu password and she gives some crypto clown 30 grand in emojis. I reverse look up the wallet. There's a Reddit post from a year ago connecting it to a guy who calls himself Lumbo Daddy, real name possibly Troy something. Real charmer. Apparently runs a YouTube channel where he teaches people how to flip tokens and flip lives. I watched 2 minutes of his content before my IQ dropped 10 points. Now I wasn't angry. Not really. I was focused. Cheating sucks, sure. But stupid cheating? That's just insulting. The more I dug, the more I found. Texts backed up to iCloud. A Dropbox folder labeled P2P Strategy Sessions that was just selfies of her in a hotel mirror wearing clothes I didn't recognize. She had a whole second life. She was funding this guy's projects, building pitch decks for his crypto startup, Reed, Ponzi scheme, and whispering to him about how she never felt supported creatively at home. Oh, and she was planning to leave me, just as soon as he closed the seed round. How poetic. So I did what any loving, soon-to-be ex-husband would do. I started planning her revenge arc like it was a product launch. I registered a company, quietly, called it Alt-Forge Labs. Completely fake, but with a polished website, roadmap, and white paper. Our product? A new crypto token called FLYT, a next-gen layer, 2-chain powered by intention-based proof of stake. Meaningless, I know, but believable, especially to someone who once bought an NFT called Emotional Giraffe for $900. I seeded the site with buzzwords, hired a few Fiverr actors to record testimonial videos, and even paid a small army of bots to spam it on crypto Twitter. Then I let it simmer. After 2 weeks of building up the legend of FLYT, I casually mentioned it to Madison over wine like it was just something I was advising on. She bit immediately. "Oh my God, this is so hot right now," she said, scrolling through the site like she was swiping through engagement rings. I played dumb. Yeah? I thought it might be too abstract. She looked up with that hungry look she reserves for new ventures and people who compliment her hair. "No, babe. This is exactly the kind of early-stage play people make millions on. You could totally get in early. Or we could. Right. I poured her another glass of wine. Sure. I'll set you up a wallet. You can buy some direct from the team." She laughed. "No need. I'll just use the same one I sent. You know who." I smiled. Perfect. Within 48 hours, she wired $30,000 in ETH to the FLYT pre-sale wallet. A wallet that I controlled. A wallet tied directly to her Proton Mail, with a transaction trail that would come in handy later. Next move? Let the timer tick. The real show wouldn't come until her quarterly company pitch event. See, Madison had spent the last few months positioning herself as a finance tech visionary within her little circle of startup friends. She'd even secured a spot as one of the emerging speakers for their firm's internal innovation day. And lucky me, I had a front row seat to her presentation, where she'd be pitching FLYT as her next big thing. That's when the rug would pull itself. Hard. And publicly. I've always said that the best revenge is scalable. You don't key a car or scream in a hotel lobby like some amateur with impulse control issues. You build a machine. You let it run. You let them walk themselves into it with their own ego, their own greed, their own complete inability to Google a white paper and ask, "Wait, what the hell is intention-based proof of stake?" And Madison? She practically sprinted into it. After she dumped that $30,000 into the fake FLYT pre-sale wallet, I didn't touch it. Not a cent. That would have been suspicious. It just sat there on the blockchain, innocent and sparkling, a little time bomb wrapped in Ethereum and optimism. She told me she was going to write a strategic launch memo for the FLYT founders. I played dumb. "You sure they need that?" I asked while folding laundry, like I wasn't the one who bought the domain and made up the fake founder named Jace Varnes. "No offense," she said, typing furiously, "but your crypto guys need polish. No clear roadmap, no tokenomics. They need someone who actually gets Web3 storytelling." Right. Because nothing says visionary thought leadership like word art and a countdown clock. I didn't argue. I just handed her the rope. In the next week, she built a deck so slick it could have been lubricated. Clean fonts. Buzzwords for days. Phrases like community liquidity funnel and stake to social utility layers. It didn't mean a damn thing, but it felt important. She even designed a token logo, some kind of neon infinity sign with a soft gradient that screamed, "Fund me." She was proud. "This is the kind of stuff that gets VC attention," she told me. "Like, Sequoia level if we spin it right." I nodded and sipped my coffee. "Sounds like you're really into it." She grinned. "You kidding? This could be the thing that finally gets me out of fractional branding gigs. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love my team, but this is bigger. Bigger. Yeah, like the crater you leave when you dive headfirst into your own fraud. But sure, dream big, Mads." Around this time, I started laying the groundwork for the second stage, the collapse. But I couldn't just nuke it from orbit. That'd be messy. Obvious. No, I needed a show. Something public. Something unmissable. Fortunately, the universe, or at least her startup, handed me a gift. Every quarter, her firm ran a thing called Pitch Day. It was like TEDx had a baby with a Fire Fest panel. Ambitious, overproduced, and deeply thirsty. Junior execs and innovation leads would present their side hustles, moonshot ideas, or entrepreneurial concepts. Winners got bonuses, media features, and the sweet dopamine hit of LinkedIn fame. This quarter, Madison made the main lineup. She told me one night over a glass of wine like she was announcing a Nobel nomination. They love the FLYT concept, she said. Said it was visionary and market-bending. I'm going to open with the future of finance and close with the demo wallet. Real-time portfolio updates. You think I should wear the blazer with the lapel pin or the black one with the shoulder cutouts? I told her to go with the pin. It makes you look legit. What I didn't tell her was that I'd already hacked her demo wallet to show a staged portfolio, with one fatal flaw: a visible, time-stamped, catastrophic loss timed precisely to the moment of her big finish. But we'll get to that. 3 days before pitch day, I created the final illusion, a token crash. I pushed a fake update on FLYT's GitHub, also fake, naturally, suggesting we were exploring permanent devaluation to promote community scarcity. Then I published a Medium post from Jace Varnes titled, "Why We're Burning 90% of Our Supply, and You Should Too." Crypto Twitter went wild. Not because they cared, because bots are cheap and drama sells. I watched as Madison read the post, frowned, then immediately hit the group chat with, "Hey guys, let's talk messaging before pitch day." Panic wasn't in her voice yet. Not quite. Just the slight tremble of someone realizing they might have bet big on a stock that's about to become a punchline. She tried to salvage it. Called it a bold narrative experiment. Said it was like Tesla killing the Model Y to boost exclusivity. No one bought it, but they nodded politely. Because that's what they do when a golden girl starts to flicker. Then came pitch day. The whole event was held in one of those sterile, soul-sucking hotel conference centers with blackout curtains and chairs designed to make your tailbone cry. The audience was a sea of MacBooks, bad coffee, and venture bros pretending to understand the future. I sat in the third row. Not front, not back. Just close enough to see the whites of her eyes when the moment came. She looked stunning, of course. Black blazer. Hair curled to perfection. That glassy confidence she puts on like armor. The MC read her name with a flourish. Next up, we have Madison Lane, brand strategist and fintech visionary, to talk about FLYT, the next evolution in decentralized financial autonomy. Applause. She stepped up, clicked the remote. First slide, reclaiming financial identity in a tokenized world. God, I almost admired it. The pure, unfiltered BS of it all. She talked about disintermediating banks, about bringing financial tools to emotionally underserved markets. I don't know what that means. No one did, but they nodded like it was scripture. Then she got to the wallet. "This," she said, clicking to the live demo, "is my personal FLYT wallet. Real funds, real growth, in real time. You'll see that in just 6 weeks, I've grown my position by 82%. And that's before we even go public." The projector screen flickered, loaded, showed the wallet interface, the graphs, the number climbing. And then, like clockwork, the number turned red. Not just red, blood red. The wallet balance dropped. $30,000 became $4.76. The line graph nosedived like a roller coaster with a death wish. She stared. The room froze. And then came the kicker. The memo popped up automatically, a browser window triggered by a hidden script I wrote to execute at that exact timestamp. It displayed her transaction history. Every transfer to the FLYT wallet. Her Proton mail. Her wallet address. Her stake. And the message: "Thank you for investing in the future of deception." You could hear a pin drop. Someone in the back snorted. One of the VCs leaned forward, whispering something to his assistant. The MC shuffled nervously. Madison didn't speak. She looked down at the podium like it had personally betrayed her. Then she turned to the projector, clicked wildly, tried to kill the feed. Too late. I stood up and walked out before the lights dimmed. Didn't even wait for her to leave the stage. Outside, I ordered a Lyft and sipped a coffee while the group chat notifications on her phone started exploding back at the hotel. I didn't smile. I didn't gloat. I just sat there, completely detached, watching the code I'd written do what it was designed to do. FLYT was dead. Madison's rep was in shambles. The investment she made? Vapor. And the best part? She couldn't even sue me. Because 3 months ago, on our anniversary, I gave her a beautifully printed card, A fake love letter that was actually a limited-scope NDA, signed and dated, which meant legally, she had agreed that FLYT was a creative experimental concept for mutual private use, and that any damages resulting from involvement were to be waived by both parties. She thought it was a love note. She even posted it to Instagram. Caption: "He always supports my dreams." 3,000 likes. And counting. By the time Madison's FLYT wallet hit zero, the startup world was already chewing her reputation like it was the last gum on earth. She didn't come home that night, which was fine by me. I spent the evening precisely how I imagined any happily betrayed husband would. Watching Chernobyl reruns with a beer in one hand and her shredded pitch notes in the other, the same one she left lying on the kitchen table before her big visionary moment turned into an open casket funeral for her career. I didn't gloat. I didn't drink to celebrate. I drank to digest, because I still couldn't believe how easy it had been. Madison didn't just fall for the scam. She branded it, amplified it, and publicly endorsed it like it was a cause she bled for. And all I did was set the stage, hand her the mic, and step back while she set herself on fire. She texted around 2:17 a.m. "Where are you? We need to talk. Please don't ignore me. Did you do this? Tell me the truth." I didn't reply. I just watched the read receipts pile up like unpaid invoices. At 2:34 a.m., she tried calling. Declined. At 2:36, another text. "I'm coming home." Home. Interesting word, that one. She hadn't called it home in months. Not since she started spending her weekends at yoga retreats and co-working sprints that always seemed to require late-night Uber rides from zip codes I'd never heard of. Sure enough, 15 minutes later, headlights rolled up the driveway. I stayed seated on the couch, didn't even pause the show. The front door opened. She stood there in her blazer and heels, makeup half melted, looking like a CEO who'd just been hit by a bus. She didn't say anything right away, just stared. "Madison," I said flatly. "To what do I owe the pleasure?" "You did this," she said, barely above a whisper. I took a sip of beer. "Be specific." "Flight. That wallet. The crash. That wasn't real." "That wasn't real, Alex." I tilted my head, confused. "You mean the crypto token you put your name on? Pitched to your company? Invested 30 grand into? You faked it. You built the whole thing." I finally muted the TV and turned toward her. It's amazing what you can do with a little free time and a solid knowledge of smart contracts. But let's be clear, you invested. You pitched. You told a room full of investors that FLYT was the next evolution of financial freedom. That was all you, babe. Her face twisted. "This is illegal." "It has to be." "Is it?" I stood, slow and casual. "You signed an NDA. I can show you the printout. The one you thought was a love letter. You tagged it #blessed. You tricked me." "No," I said calmly. "You tricked yourself. You lied. You cheated. You decided you were smarter than everyone, including me. I just gave you a mirror and watched you perform." She opened her mouth, then shut it. I walked past her and grabbed the manila folder from the counter. "Here," I said, tossing it on the coffee table. Signed NDA. Wallet logs. Transaction history. And a burner account I used to fund the entire thing. No legal connection to me. Just a shell company in Wyoming with a paper trail that leads to an AI-generated founder named Jace Varnes. "You remember him. You quoted him in your pitch." "You're insane," she whispered. I smiled. "Possibly. But I'm also very well insured, very well advised, and very done with this marriage." She flinched. "I want a divorce," I added, like I was ordering a sandwich. Silence. She walked slowly to the couch and sat, like her knees had suddenly remembered they belonged to a human with mass and gravity. "I didn't mean for it to go this far," she said. I stared at her. "What, the affair? Or the fraud?" Her lip quivered. She looked down. "He told me he was investing in a new platform, that I could be the face of something real. He made me feel like I mattered." "There it is," I said, sitting across from her. "Lumbo Daddy, the crypto guru with a business card that probably smells like Axe body spray. Did he ever even show you his name?" "Troy," she said bitterly. "Ah, of course. Troy." I leaned back. "Well, Troy's wallet got drained too. You should have seen his face when I yanked his liquidity pool through a VPN in Belarus and rerouted it into a black hole of tax-deductible nothingness. All legal. All blockchain. No refund." Her eyes widened. "You?" "Oh yeah," I said. "He's broke. Real broke. His Twitter got suspended, his Discord's on fire, and I emailed his investors a lovely little packet detailing every project he's grifted in the last year, complete with blockchain evidence. One of them already forwarded it to the SEC. "You're going to ruin me," she said. I looked at her long and hard. "No, Madison. You ruined you. I just took notes." She stood. "You think this makes you noble? You think this fixes anything?" "Nope," I said. "I'm not interested in fixing. I'm interested in finishing." She stared at me, and for the first time since the whole mess started, I saw it. Actual fear. Not panic. Not embarrassment. Fear. The kind you feel when you realize the person you underestimated didn't just win. They planned the whole game without telling you the rules. "You can't hide from this," she said finally. "People will ask questions. I hope they do." I stood. Because I've got a beautiful story to tell. About a visionary brand strategist who thought she could outsmart a man who reads terms of service for fun. She stormed out, slamming the door so hard the picture frame by the hallway shook. I didn't flinch. Later that night, I did two things. First, I logged in and wiped the FLYT website. Replaced it with a single black page that read, "This project was never real." Just like her loyalty. Second, I opened a new folder on my desktop and labeled it Exit Strategy. Because this wasn't the end. This was just the cleanup phase. And I was going to make sure Madison didn't just lose her reputation. She was going to lose her friends, her connections, and the smug certainty that she could lie her way through life without consequences. I'd already started uploading files. Email screenshots, audio recordings, video captures of Zoom calls where she pitched FLYT to her network, all tied to her voice, her face, her laptop. I wasn't angry. I was efficient. That's the thing about betrayal. It gives you clarity. And once you have that, you stop asking why they did it. And you start asking how far you're willing to go. I spent the next 72 hours doing what any responsible adult would do after detonating his spouse's crypto fantasy in front of her entire career network. I cleaned. Digitally, physically, emotionally, every layer of clutter had to go. I started with the closet. Not for symbolism. Just for the satisfaction of watching her fake sustainable fashion collection get stuffed into trash bags. You ever fold a $1,000 ethically sourced cardigan that she bought with stolen Ethereum? Therapeutic. Next came the shared accounts. I logged into our joint Spotify and renamed her carefully curated Focus Flow playlist to Betrayal Beats, Volume 1. Deleted all her mood boards on Pinterest. She had 3 for our future home, one of which included a quote, "Build a life you don't need a vacation from." Cute. I replaced it with a screenshot of her FLYT wallet collapse graph. By the time the 4th day rolled around, Madison had stopped texting, stopped calling, gone completely dark, which was suspicious, because the Madison I knew didn't vanish unless she was plotting a comeback or dead, and I hadn't seen any obituaries. So I checked the phone logs, the ones she didn't know I still had access to through our shared provider dashboard. She'd made 3 calls to her old mentor, 2 to someone listed as Coach Mindy, and 1 very curious 27-minute call to a contact named Danny, PR fixer. Oh, damage control. That was fast. I pictured her sitting in some minimalist co-working space, sunglasses on indoors, sipping her 3rd oat milk latte while drafting LinkedIn posts that began with "Sometimes failure is the start of reinvention," and ended with a request for speaking engagements. But I wasn't done. Not by a long shot. Because Madison had one last card to play, and I had no intention of letting her put it on the table. See, what she didn't realize was that while she was building her PR war room, I'd already moved to Phase 3, the Fallout campaign. It wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about sterilizing the entire field, making sure there was no phoenix rising from the ashes moment. Just ashes. Gray, boring, forgettable ashes. And I had just the tool for it. A little site I built one sleepless night called The Ledger Room, an anonymous whistleblower platform for crypto scams, startup delusions, and influencer fraud. Completely legal. Built on blockchain. Hosted offshore. Every submission was time-stamped, verified, and sourced with external evidence artifacts. And guess who the newest feature story was? Yup. Madison Lane and the great FLYT fantasy. How one startup strategist defrauded herself. I submitted every screenshot, video, and deck she'd ever written about FLYT. I included chat logs with Troy, aka Lumbo Daddy, internal memos she sent her coworkers, and a Dropbox link labeled Asset Kit, launch week. It wasn't defamatory, it was just complete. Within hours, it got picked up by 3 niche fintech blogs. One of them ran a headline, "When Branding Becomes Delusion, a Case Study in Self-Fraud." Harsh. Another linked the FLYT collapse to a broader investigation into crypto shell companies. I smiled when I saw Madison's name in the subheader. Not first, not even second, just somewhere in the middle, forgettable, like she always feared. By that night, she finally broke her silence. "Are you happy now? You ruined everything." I replied with a single thumbs-up emoji. The digital equivalent of deadpan eye contact. "You sabotaged my career. My reputation. Do you even care about what happens to me now?" I didn't answer. Not because I didn't have thoughts, but because there was nothing left to say. If she wanted sympathy, she should have gotten it before laundering 30 grand into a crypto joke with a man who wore gold chains unironically. A few hours later, she sent a selfie. Not like that. Not seductive. Desperate. Red eyes. Blurry. Captioned, "You said we were a team." I almost laughed. A team? She lied for 6 months, cheated with a crypto clown, and made me feel like I was the idiot for not believing in the future of personal staking ecosystems. She didn't want a partner. She wanted a fan club. But I wasn't mad anymore. I was calm. I was cold. I was done. So I moved forward with the divorce. Filed everything. Clean, simple, uncontested. She wouldn't fight it. Not with the PR wildfire still burning. I used a mid-range lawyer who specialized in expedited exits. He told me I was the 3rd crypto-adjacent divorce client he'd seen this month. Austin's weird like that. Before the ink even dried, her inner circle started crumbling. I watched it happen through a friend who still followed her on LinkedIn. Her mint started pulling her name from bios. She quietly stepped down from her speaking slots at 2 Women in Web3 panels. Her startup clients ghosted her. You could almost feel the network of invisible bridges she'd spent years building just collapse. Not all at once, but fast. And I did nothing to stop it. Because here's the thing, Madison wasn't unique. There's a whole generation of people like her, dressed up ideologues with hustle-laced TED Talk dreams, always one Instagram filter away from believing their own pitch decks. And every one of them thinks the truth is optional if the branding's good enough. So I made her a case study. I made her a warning. I made sure the next Madison who tried this would stop and think, is this another FLYT situation? And somewhere, some investor would reply, God, I hope not. Weeks passed. The world moved on. Her followers shrank. Her name faded. And I lived quietly, anonymously, without the weight of pretending to be someone's cheerleader while they dug their own grave. But Madison? She couldn't let go. 2 months after the pitch day incident, I got an envelope in the mail. No return address. Inside was a single sheet of paper. A typed letter. Alex, you win. I lost everything. My clients. My partners. The people who believed in me. I know I screwed up. You don't have to tell me again. I just want to know one thing. Was any of it real? I folded the letter. Placed it back in the envelope. Didn't reply. Was any of it real? I could have written pages. About the first night we met, when she laughed so hard at my joke she spilled her drink. About the time we drove to Marfa on a whim, just to watch the stars. About how I thought we were building something. Not perfect, but something true. But I didn't write a damn thing. Because the only answer I had left was silence. And some questions deserve it. The weeks after her letter were eerily quiet. Like that strange calm after a storm when the sky looks normal, but the ground's still littered with branches and broken expectations. I didn't frame her letter. I didn't burn it. I just tossed it in the drawer next to the Wi-Fi router, where I keep junk I don't know what to do with. Old phone chargers, expired warranties, and now, the dying gasp of a woman who bet her life on a scam she helped sell. And yeah, maybe I reread it once. Just once. But it didn't change anything. Madison didn't want the truth. She wanted a rewind button. And life doesn't hand those out, no matter how good your branding is. Still, it was funny how quickly things fell apart after that envelope showed up. I started hearing whispers. Not from her, but from the small web of acquaintances, mutuals, and ex-coworkers that still hovered in the social fog around us. A guy from her old startup reached out. Said he remembered me from a happy hour back in 2021. The one where Madison insisted on doing tequila shots with her dev team to boost morale. He said he didn't want to gossip, but felt I should know that Madison had been quietly reaching out to investors she once blacklisted, offering services, pitching rebrands, even proposing, wait for it, a new token project. She called it VYRA. I Googled it. There was no site yet, no socials, just a one-page teaser link. Something new is coming. Real utility, real value, real change. And at the bottom, one word, soon. I stared at it for a long time. Not angry, just amazed. Madison wasn't licking her wounds. She was reloading. I should have seen it coming. Some people don't learn from failure. They just repackage it. Change the name. Find new suckers. Reposition the story so they're not the fraud, they're the survivor. But the thing about second acts? They're easier to kill, because they follow the same beats. So I made a decision. No more cleanup. No more quiet detachment. If Madison wanted to rise again, she'd have to do it in daylight, with every lie, every cheat code, every shortcut dragging behind her like a wedding train soaked in gasoline. I went back to the ledger room. My anonymous watchdog site was gaining traction. Someone had submitted a piece connecting FLYT to 3 other startup accelerators that had imploded under suspicious circumstances. I edited that post, connected dots, cross-referenced Madison's email aliases, the DNS trail, even reused slide templates she'd shamelessly repurposed from FLYT. She hadn't even changed the font. Then I wrote a follow-up entry. Title: From FLYT to VYRA, a case study in unrepentant fraud. It wasn't flashy. No personal jabs. Just forensic logic and airtight receipts. I added a handy PDF download for journalists. Included links to her pitch day meltdown, preserved thanks to a few brave souls with camera phones and a love for digital carnage. Then I hit publish. The post didn't go viral. It infected. Quietly. Like mold. Within 2 days, a mid-tier crypto podcast covered it. By day 4, a VC Twitter thread was dissecting her entire professional history. By day 7, VYRA's teaser page was gone. Just a 404 and the sad emptiness of failed ambition. She never emailed. Never called. But someone else did. His name was Ronan Kessler. Editor at Tech Current Weekly. Real journalist. Dry voice. Probably wears corduroy blazers in July. I'm working on a long-form feature, he told me. About pitch culture, performative innovation, and what we're calling narrative startups, projects where the story matters more than the software. Your blog came up in every direction. I played dumb. Just a hobby. He laughed. Sure. Hobby with screenshots, blockchain logs, and forensic metadata analysis. Everyone needs a hobby. I'd love to quote you. No thanks. Even anonymously? Still no. I didn't need the attention. I just wanted Madison's next chapter to stay in the bargain bin where it belonged. But Ronan didn't need my quote. He had the receipts. He published his story 3 weeks later. Front page of their online tech edition. Title: The Influencer Who Got High on Her Own White Paper. How Madison Lane Burned 30 Grand to Feel Like a Founder. The subheader was even better. When branding goes rogue, the lie isn't what's sold, it's who's buying it. I read it twice. Then I closed my laptop and went for a walk. It was a warm day. Crisp sky. One of those rare Austin afternoons where the city feels breathable again. I passed the corner coffee shop we used to hit every Saturday morning. They still had that chalkboard sign out front with the cheesy quote of the day. Today's was, sometimes, the universe closes a door so it can slam a better one on someone else's face. I smiled. For real, this time. But the peace didn't last long. Because that night, I got a knock at the door. Not a package. Not a food delivery. A real knock. I opened it, and there she was. Madison, wearing that same leather jacket she used to brag about buying on a conscious consumerism spree, now faded at the seams. No makeup. No phone in hand. Just her. You look different, I said. I needed to see you. Yeah, well, I needed an apology 6 months ago. We don't always get what we want. She didn't laugh. I'm not here for a fight. I leaned against the frame. Then what? I'm leaving, she said. Where to? Mars. They got a token project waiting. Funny. She sighed. I'm serious. I'm leaving Austin. Selling what's left. Clearing debt. Resetting. Huh. I just needed to tell you that. I get it now. Everything. That you cheated? Lied? Built your brand on buzzwords and burned every bridge along the way. She nodded. Yeah. And I wanted to say I'm sorry. For the briefest moment, I saw the Madison I used to know. The one from before the tokens, the branding, The hustle. She meant it. Maybe too late. Maybe not enough. But it was real. I opened the door wider. You want to come in? She looked past me. Into the house. Into the life that used to be hers. Then shook her head. No. I just wanted to say it. She turned. Walked back to the street. Disappeared into a car I didn't recognize. I closed the door. Went back inside. And never looked back. I'd always imagined the end would be louder. That there'd be some final slam, a shouting match, maybe a dramatic airport scene where someone yells, "Wait," right before the security gate closes. But Madison leaving didn't come with fireworks. No music. Just the quiet click of a car door and the soft hum of tires rolling away into the Austin night. That was it. No second act. No apology tour. Just a woman walking off the edge of the stage she set on fire with her own two hands. And me? I didn't feel relief, exactly. I didn't feel much of anything. Which, in a weird way, was the most peaceful part of all this. The ache had burned out weeks ago. Now, what was left behind was something else entirely: space. For the first time in months, I had it. Empty rooms, empty accounts, empty inboxes. A blank canvas with the faint ghost of old lines beneath it. But I didn't rush to fill it. I let it breathe. Her exit left questions, of course. People asked. Friends. Acquaintances. The types who think they're owed a story just because they watched it unfold in real time through Instagram captions and LinkedIn updates. Some of them approached me at meetups or coffee shops, like we were part of the same fan club for someone who used to matter. Hey, wasn't your wife the one who did that token thing? Man, that was wild. Are you okay? She was, kind of everywhere for a while, huh? I kept it simple. Yeah, I'd say, smiling. She was. That was all they got. No commentary. No backstory. Because people don't really want the truth. They want an angle. A tweet. A line they can use at the next brunch when someone brings up crypto scams or brand strategists with messy public implosions. And me? I wasn't about to become a punchline in someone else's story. So I said nothing. Let them wonder. Let them Google. Let them find the right articles, the public posts, the anonymous leaks from the ledger room, and piece it together on their own. I didn't need to control the narrative. The facts spoke louder than I ever could. Besides, the real story wasn't about her anymore. It was about me. And what came next? I sold the house. Quietly. Off-market. A tech couple from San Francisco bought it in cash after a 10-minute walkthrough. They said the energy felt clean. I almost laughed. I left behind the dining table the weird ceramic bowl she insisted was a conversation piece, and the mural she painted in the office that looked like a Rothko if Rothko had been legally blind and angry at rectangles. I packed light. Essentials only. My laptop. My notebooks. A duffel bag of clothes and one box labeled Truth Insurance. Inside it, the drive with every file from the FLYT op, her emails, the contracts, the media files, the burner wallet exports. Just in case. Just enough to start over somewhere else. I rented a place across town. Temporary. Sparse. The kind of place where nothing has a memory yet. The air still smells like drywall and opportunity. It's amazing what silence can do for you when it's earned. No notifications. No midnight accusations. No Instagram stories of her sipping cocktails with VC bros who quote Naval Ravikant and cheat on their wives. Just silence. And space. I started freelancing again. Quiet projects. Back-end work. Security audits. Nothing flashy, just clean code and clean pay. The kind of work I used to love before I spent every waking hour trying to support her dream. I picked up old hobbies. Guitar. Reading weird sci-fi novellas. I even started journaling again. Old school. Pen to paper. No hashtags. No followers. For the first time in years, I felt like myself. Unpackaged. Unbranded. Unpitched. Of course, the world didn't stop spinning just because Madison left. The tech scene in Austin kept grinding along. Tokens rose and fell. Startups launched, failed, pivoted, acquired. I kept tabs, sometimes. Not to judge, just to remember, just to stay sharp. One night, maybe 2 months after she left, I saw her again. By accident. I was grabbing groceries late. Trader Joe's, aisle 6, frozen dumplings in one hand and almond milk in the other, and there she was. Hair shorter. No makeup. Hoodie. She looked like a version of herself from before all the gloss. Before the hustle. She didn't see me. Or maybe she did, and just pretended not to. Either way, I didn't say a word. I watched her scan the shelves, pick up a frozen quinoa blend, then walk away like she'd never been the woman who once told me, "We're going to be billionaires or bust." She chose bust, and I chose freedom. I checked out, walked to my car, played nothing on the drive home, just the sound of tires on asphalt and the faint hum of the city around me. Later that night, I sat at my desk and opened a new document. Blank. Untitled. No project name. No fake white paper. Just a blinking cursor and an idea. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel like I needed to prove anything. Not to her. Not to anyone. Because the truth is, revenge doesn't end with a bang. It ends when you no longer need it. And Madison? She can have whatever future she wants to rebrand for herself. Me? I'm finally building something real. And this time, it's just for me. Subscribe to the channel